Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Robert Cabral. I'm going to stop saying that because you know that already. I don't need to announce myself. That's really, really weird. So this is my New Year's podcast, and I'm recording it a couple days before New Year's because I want to have it ready, and I want to have it ready to go on New Year's because it is, or the day after New Year's when you guys are going to see it and hear it, because it's that important, right? New Year's is this crazy time of the year, and I talked about the happy holidays thing. By the way, Happy New Year's. That at New Year's, we kind of like start to get into this weird realm of like, well, in 2020, I'm going to do this amazing. I'm going to get in great shape. I'm going to love my girlfriend more. I'm going to spend more time with my dogs. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get my dogs in shape. I'm going to start training my dogs, and I'm going to start at the 1st of January. And you know what? Whenever people set stuff like that in motion, it's bullshit. It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because it's this projected thing, right? It's this thing that you say, I'm gonna do it when. And dogs, this is the lesson, is that dogs don't do that, right? Dogs just are. They just start doing it at that moment. They don't need like a New Year's or a new, workout clothes or a new whatever in order to do X, Y, and Z. They just do it. And that's what we should learn from our dogs. It's the most valuable lesson that I've ever learned really in life. I learned it from dogs, and that's why I think dogs are so powerful to me. Dogs live truly in the moment. And when you do stuff like martial arts or art or anything like that, you are living in the moment. You're not projecting things, you're not thinking about things, you're not planning things. They just happen, they're organic, and they just have to be conquered as they are. So for 2020, instead of thinking like all these projections, like I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I would welcome you to just kind of just be chill. Just be yourself. And, and look at your dogs. And I think the main thing I want to kind of bring across in this podcast is the appreciation for dogs and, and appreciating, this is a really sad part, that they're not around forever. But in those years they're with us, they live life to the fullest, more than any human being ever could possibly live their life. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's, the most, The Rock, who I love, right? Or Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world. What I'm talking about here is a dog lives their life better than any of those people. And I'll tell you why. Dogs live in the moment, and they savor that moment. I mean, how can you take a dog that's been living in a shelter for 6 months or a year, and you take him out of his cage and he's just happy and he still trusts people? And how can you take a dog that, that doesn't know you, you're a completely different species, and the dog trusts you enough to take him to the vet, groom them, whatever. We just gave Goofy, Maya, and Dwayne and Jimmy baths today. They have this amazing connection with us that is unlike anything else in the world. Like it's not normal. In fact, dogs and humans, I've always talked about this, it's the only cross-species relationship that exists, really, right? In other words, dogs prefer the company of a human to the company of another dog. In other words, Goofy and Maya will rather be with me than be with another dog, because that's how that bond goes. That's the amount of trust they have. And when we look at that, what are we doing? What are we giving back to our dogs? And I'm not talking about a treat or a pat on the head, although that's very important. But what are we really in life giving back to our dogs? And I'm going to do a podcast. I was thinking about it. I was actually going to do this podcast as that and call it, Nobody Wants the Dog You Don't Want. And it's based on people who give up their dogs and put them in shelters and stuff like that. That's coming. That'll be my little contribution to your new year. Look forward to that one. But what I want to really address here in this podcast is what dogs give to us and the lessons we can learn from dogs. So people, go to all these crazy, seminars of like life coaches and all this bullshit. And I think that's really kind of weird. Like, I don't get the whole life coach thing and write down your goals thing. I've never written a goal down, by the way. I've attained every goal I've ever wanted, because my goals were always, and I'm getting into this realm that I hate talking about. Like, I don't want to be your success coach or life coach or anything like that, because I think it's bullshit. I think you should have success in what you do, right? You should just be happy in what you do and where you are in your life. And this whole crazy idea of jotting your goals down, and you can be anything you want to be, and you can be a billionaire, and you can do this, and and visualize you're traveling to the most remote, beautiful places on earth. You don't need to visualize that. Just be a good person. Like, your number one goal in life should be do no harm, right? Take only memories, leave only footprints. Like, the other side of it is, what can you do? Like, what can you do to bring a smile to somebody's face? What can you do to make the world a better place today than you found it? And that's really what I think really successful people do. They kind of do little things, right? They smile at a stranger. They pick up their weights at the gym. Big pet peeve of mine. They love their dogs. They tell their wife they love them. They do something special for their mom and dad, or their son or daughter. And because I always say charity starts at home. But all these little things that you can do that don't really have anything to do with being, quote unquote, successful, which I think is bullshit. What is success really? And I go back to the realm of the dog. Like, dogs are the most successful creatures on earth because they give love and they accept love, right? Like, completely unbiased. They accept love and they give love. They don't look at you and say, well, how much money do you have? Are you beautiful? Are you successful? Are you tall? Are you handsome? Are you, what? It doesn't matter. Dogs love ugly people. They love fat people. They love skinny people. They love Republicans and Democrats and Christians and Jews and Muslims and children and adults. Anything. Dogs are completely unconditional and unbiased. So that's kind of what you want to think about, because I think that's really what success is what a dog is. A dog is, to me, the epitome of the success. And you know why? This is the number one reason: because they're happy. It's about being happy. It's not about my dog Goofy doesn't write down his goals like, I'm going to get my UDX, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and he doesn't do it. He's happy. And success is about being happy. And if you can find your happiness, even for moments throughout the day, those moments can carry through. So don't get caught up in this stuff. And this is where social media is a crock of shit. I mean, I hate it. Sometimes Janet will say, "Did you see what so-and-so wrote on your timeline or on your videos?" And I'm sorry, I look through things, and it's like, if it gets wordy or anything like that, I don't have the time for it. I've got 250,000 people on, my social media that I just can't dedicate that amount of time, which is why I always tell people, if you want to get a hold of me, join my member section. That's kind of where I give you a little bit more attention. On social media, we're talking about, I'm doing the best to get as much content and information out there to help you with your dogs as I possibly can. I can't give it that individual attention. So thinking about where dogs are in that picture is they're just in that moment. They're just at that moment to experience that moment. And that's what it's about, right? It's not about the success coaches on Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff, because they're not really successful, right? They're selling you a bill of goods. They're telling you what you need to be happy, or what that you should envision your dream house. Well, then you're not happy now because you're living in a shitty apartment until you get to the dream house. So, and that's why I hate success coaches, because my success coach is my dogs. That's it. And I judge myself based on how happy I can make my dogs. And I make my dogs extremely happy. I mean, my dogs are always wagging their tail. They're never, ever, ever in a bad mood. They're never mad at me. They're never upset with me. They have no problems. If I feed them a bowl of kibble, they're super, super, super happy. And if I feed them a steak, they're super, super, super happy. And because of that, they experience the momentary pleasure which lasts all the way through. And that's what most people don't get. And that's why I think more people with dogs should open their hearts and their minds and their perception of happiness to what a dog is doing to be happy. And dogs, like I said, dogs don't make these New Year's resolutions. They don't do it. They are just in the moment. Dog doesn't know the difference between 2019 and 2020. And it's, one of the things that, I said to Janet the other day, I said, well, why don't we celebrate the coming of a new week, from Saturday to Sunday? Or why don't we celebrate, my God, it's now going to be November 1st. We don't celebrate that. We celebrate the passing of a year. And I guess it's some kind of a tradition. I never really got it. I don't get into the whole ringing in the new year and drinking and doing all that stuff. I get, ringing in another day, another moment, another experience, another just a lunch with somebody or something like that. And with dogs, I really always want to look at them and see how every moment is something special. Like Boz can be sleeping in his crate and I'll pick him up to take him out and he'll just start licking me. It's like, that's New Year's, right? It's like, hey, whatever that old anxiety, he'll be singing that. And that's really such a cool thing. So when people experience that, like if you have a dog, that should be like your number one thing you benefit from your dog is the happiness, the companionship this dog brings you, and share some of that back, right? Make it an effort to share that back with your dog. If you're going to make some kind of a bullshit resolution, let that be your New Year's resolution, that you're going to spend more time with your dog, you're going to train your dog, you're going to teach your dog 3 things this year, And it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a little trick. You can be teaching your dog how to do the stacking rings like Janet does with Jimmy. You can teach your dog how to do an obedience routine like I do with Goofy or Maya, or agility or something like that. Spend more time with your dogs, because no matter where you are in your life, and if you're reading any kind of self-help stuff, I'm going to tell you to put it down right now and spend some time with your dog, because that's the self-help that's going to really make you happy and successful and help you to be the happier person, right? Because most people who are looking for self-help stuff are always looking outside of themselves. They're going to think, well, I'm going to write down all my goals, and I'm going to write down all my, things I don't want to do. And all this writing down stuff is all crap. Like, you don't need to write stuff down. I've never written down goals. I've never written down that I want to be a millionaire, that I want to be famous, or that I want to be, whatever. I just do it. I just live each moment, and what will come, right? In other words, you're not really going to change what's going to come. If you drink and you drive, you were probably already destined to be stupid and probably die in a car crash, and hopefully you don't hurt anybody else. But if you just kind of like allow yourself to live in the moment and live like a dog, literally like a dog. That means the minute you wake up, boom, positive attitude, right? Nothing bad's happening. Dogs don't imagine things. They don't have the boogeyman like, oh my God, I got to pay these bills today. Oh my God, I got to go to work today. They're happy because as long as they're not at work, they're still in bed. And that's what we don't do. In other words, you get up in the morning, you think, oh, I got to cut the grass. I got to go to here. I got to do this. I got to pay this. I got to do that. And that's really what messes you up in life, because you end up projecting all these things and thinking about all these things, whether it's the past or the future. And that's how humans really live. We live in the past, what we didn't do, what we should have done, our regrets, and in the future, the dread of what's coming. Dogs don't do that. And that's the lesson that I think you should learn from your dog. That's the lesson I think you should take with you in your daily journey. And you're only going to get that by spending more time with your dog, by telling your dog you love him and watching the happiness that your dog has throughout the day, right? Whether it's the middle of the night. Sometimes I get up in the middle of the night, I got to go to the bathroom, right? I shouldn't be sharing that with you, but I am. I got to go to the bathroom. And you know what? Goofy shoots up and he's there with me, and he walks over to the bathroom and he's like, this is the greatest thing in the world. And it's amazing, right? That's the most amazing thing you can have, is that excitability about everything. It's like children. Children are happy. Well, some kids cry a lot. I don't have any children of my own, but I know they just cry. They start crying and crying and crying. But dogs don't do that, right? Now, puppies do. This is why I don't like puppies. I always say puppies, the best thing about puppies, the only redeeming quality a puppy has, is he grows up to be a dog. And dogs don't have that. Dogs are just happy. They're, okay, great. Oh my God, we got to go downstairs. We got a cookie. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do that. The happiness that a dog has from licking your plate. I just had this delicious turkey bolognese with spaghetti squash. I ate the whole thing. It was delicious. It was so delicious, right? I just had it for lunch, just before I'm recording this podcast. And there was nothing left on the plate. I put the plate down, and Goofy and Maya were like ecstatic to lick the plate. Imagine that, right? I enjoyed the entire meal. I'm totally satiated. I'm just like stuffed. And they didn't get that food. But licking the plate made them happy. You throw a dog a crumb, and they're happy. Because they don't think what they could have had or should have had. They're only thinking of what they're having. And we don't do that. We as people never do that. We always think what we should have, what we should get, what we need, what we don't need, and all that stuff. Dogs live in that moment. That momentary moment is what I call it, and that makes them happy. So what you can do, you can learn a lot from your dog in that, and you can kind of go through and really spend some time and give something back to your dogs this year, because you really should. I mean, you really, really should think about what you can do this year to make, and again, now I'm talking about, resolutions, but I hope you don't look at it as a resolution. I hope you look at it as like a game changer, like a life-changing thing. What can you do to make your dog happy? Now, forget the bullshit of, oh, I'm going to buy my dog, a stuffed toy. Dogs don't like stuffed toys. Dogs tear stuffed toys apart. Now, I had a dog named Silly, my Shar Pei, who, loved, and had the same stuffed toy for years. Goofy would have it for like 30 seconds, and so would Dwayne. But that's not what makes dogs happy. What makes dogs happy is a cuddle, is a hug, is a walk. And what really cements the deal is a training and like a communication, because dogs bond off of that. Like Goofy is so bonded to me because of our training together that you can't compare that to anything. And it doesn't matter what you're training your dog to do, whether you're doing stuff like agility, like Janet and I do with Dwayne, Mater, and Jimmy, or you're doing obedience, like I do with Goofy and Maya, or you're doing, a fly ball or dock diving, or anything you do with your dog cements that bond, and you become a better person as a result. Again, I'm not your life coach. I'm not here to make you a better person. I hope you're a good person, it's on you. But doing things with your dog makes you a better person because a couple things. One, you're giving of yourself. Two, you're learning something new. And three, you're sharing that time with your dog, who has no way to force you to do that. In other words, they can't suddenly say, oh, if you don't take me out training, then I'm not going to talk to you, or I'm not going to make you dinner, or I'm going to leave you. Dogs never leave us, right? We leave dogs. I mean, I don't, but people leave dogs. They dump them at the shelter. They give them away. They don't want them and all this stuff. That's the flaw. But to give something to a creature that can't give anything back is important. Just like giving a smile to a stranger, or whatever it is. That's critical. That's so, so, so important. But it's your dog. So most of the time, people leave for work in the morning. They say, I'll see you later. They head out. They come back home. They pet the dog in the head. They watch TV, and that's it, right? The dog lays down. And the dog is totally, by the way, your dog is totally content and happy with that, because that's what he's kind of come to expect from you, is kind of a shiftless, lazy person when it comes to doing any interaction with the dog. But if you throw your dog a Frisbee, or you do a little obedience with him, or you do, any kind, there's so many things to do with dogs. I mean, I'm going to do a podcast at some point on all the different activities you can do with your dogs. There's agility, fly ball, nose games, obedience, there's protection, there's so many. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing 200 different activities, hunting, tracking, all these different things you can do with your dog, that every dog can do something, right? Even little Bozman, who, when Janet got him, didn't know what she could do with him, and then found out that he was an amazing agility dog. He loved doing agility. It was like his favorite thing. Dwayne Amator loves agility. Goofy loves obedience. He loves protection work. Maya loves cuddles. Maya loves to cuddle. That's really important for Maya. So you just have to kind of find something that your dog loves, or something you can do with your dog, and find something that you love and see if your dog will love it. And if they don't force them to do it. Find something they like. Even just a nice structured walk for 30 minutes, twice a day is a huge, huge thing for your dog that will make your dog a better dog. Because one, they'll bond with you. Two, it'll stimulate them mentally and physically. Three, it'll cement the relationship between you because it's something you're doing together, and it's going to get you in shape. So when you think about the New Year's resolution, I'm going to go join a gym. Don't join a gym. I go to the gym. I'm at the gym at least 4 days a week by 5:30, 6 o'clock at the very latest in the morning. I love all my buddies at Gold's Gym. We have a great time. We all know each other. We all, there's no weird things there, like, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're straight, none of that, right? None of that exists there. It's a real camaraderie. The only other place you have that kind of camaraderie is with your dog, because even the people you train your dogs with might have, preconceptions about you. Oh, I don't like him. He's, he lives on the west side, or she's from the east side, or he's from this, or he's from that. But your dog doesn't have that. In fact, none of your friends' dogs will have that. So if you happen to be a Republican and your friend happens to be a Democrat, and your friend hates you now because you're of a different political party, your friend's dog will still love you. That's fascinating. That's amazing, right? Even though your friend doesn't like you because of your political opinion, your friend's dog loves you, which is why a lot of times, in a lot of ways, dogs are better than people. They don't have that weird stigma. So let's look at 2020 as a great year that's in front of us. Don't make some crazy resolutions. Don't make those. Don't think about what you screwed up in 2019. You didn't screw anything up. You're doing fine. If you're alive and you're breathing, you're still okay. It was a hard year for me, 2019. I mean, I lost my aunt. I really love my aunt, but you know what? You got to look forward. You got to think of things that are ahead of you. So don't think of what's behind you. And that's the lesson from the dog. Don't think of all the crap that's behind you. Think of what's in front of you. And that's where you really want to keep your focus and be more like your dog. That's your lesson. You let your dog be your success coach, because your dog is going to put you in the right direction and not charge you some crazy astronomical fees for books and tapes and coaching and all that stuff. Take your dog for a walk, breathe some fresh air, take your dog to an obedience class or an agility class or a nose work class or something. Do something interacting with your dog. I guarantee you, I guarantee it 1,000% that you're going to feel better about who you are. You're going to feel healthier because you're doing something with your dog, right? You're doing something that's physical, it's mentally stimulating, and it's bonding. It's an emotional bonding experience. And if you have a fiance or a girlfriend or a wife, take them with you. Do something together with your dogs, or do something separate with your dogs. Do something with your dogs, and let your fiance or your husband or wife or whatever do something with the other dog. If you have two dogs, if you have one dog, it's going to be hard. You guys are going to have to be on the same page. But a little obedience training, a little trick dog training, all that stuff, super, super, super fun. It's just the best thing. I mean, dogs really are the best thing. That's my thought going into 2020. Dogs make me happy. Everything I do with dogs makes me happy, and that's why I'm going to keep working with dogs. And I hope to keep you on this little journey with me. So, I've got a lot of exciting podcasts coming up. I'm not going to tell you what they are. You have to stay tuned. But be sure you check out my website, robertcabral.com. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all my social media. And stay in touch with me. I really look forward to hearing from you guys. I love your comments on the videos and your questions. I'm going to give you a couple of questions here. I got maybe 2 pages of them. The first one goes out to Paul McPherson. It says, I have a toy poodle puppy. He's 5 months. He's incredibly intelligent and obedient. I taught him sit, paw, recall, etc. in virtually no time at all. I only had to show him paw once and he had it nailed. However, despite following your advice and a few other techniques, he will not lie down on command. He lies down when he has a stick in the garden, and I've had him checked and there's no bone or joint issues, but he flat out refuses to go down on command. Any ideas what could be going on? Just to reiterate, he's incredibly obedient at every other aspect of training, just not to lie down. So first of all, what I would do is when he has a stick and he lies down, I would mark the behavior and say, good down, 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 then take the stick away from him, give him the stick. When he lies down, mark the down. The other thing I would do, especially a toy poodle, the reason they don't lie down is because you're putting too much spatial pressure on them. Take the dog, put him on a table, lure him with a treat on a table, and I mean a high table, like a picnic table, not a low table, and that should work. Try that for a while. Let me know how that works out, Paul. Next one goes out to Mirthy Peters, who says, since a few months we have new neighbors. They have a young Malinois. I think he's now around 8 months old. When I'm outside with my dog, he goes nuts. My dog completely ignore him, but man, the Malinois gets so crazy that it worries me. Is there anything I can do? I've been ignoring him, but it has no effect. It's very annoying to have him barking and growling at us the entire time. I'm worried one day he would jump over the fence and come after me or my dog. And you know what? That's a good fear to have. And I would talk to your neighbors. And I would explain exactly that to them, that if anything happens, that you will sue them and that you will hold them responsible. And I would also say that you report them to animal control if they're not going to take their dog and take more responsibility. Because when you have a fence line and a dog is barking at that fence line and growling, that builds a frustration. And at some point, the dog will break through that fence line, or the dog will jump over that fence, and then you're going to have a problem on your hands. So talk to your neighbors. Try to be, maybe bring them some fruitcake or something, the fruitcake you got for Christmas that you didn't want, and see if you can kind of talk sense into them. It's really, really important. Tell them I said it. Tell them to watch my podcast, and they'll hear exactly what I said. Take responsibility. Dogs should not be running, growling, or frustrated barking at the fence line at other dogs. There's nothing good's going to come of that. Erica says, I have a 4-acre property and goats, sheep, turkeys, etc. There is also coyotes around because I like far from the city and more in the woods. What type of dog should I get that it has a good interaction with my animals, but also protect them from coyotes. You're going to have to look for a livestock guarding dog, an LGD, and they come in different breeds. I mean, like I think like the Caucasian Shepherds and stuff like that will do that, but you have to be careful because some of them, will be triggered by prey drive, as well from your animals. You really have to get a dog that's obviously very big because you're dealing with coyotes to protect them, but also one that's not really highly prey driven by your animals. And usually a livestock guarding dog will do that. Just Google livestock guarding dog and see what's available. You definitely it's a good thing that you're looking at getting this because the coyotes will destroy everything else. Powatse says, I have 2 puppies that need separate to train them by individually. Okay, so we have a language barrier. I think what you're saying is you have 2 puppies and can you train them individually or separately? I would only train them individually. Make sure you bond with them. They're going to super bond with each other. I always tell people do not get 2 puppies or more at once. Never get litter mates. Never get 2 puppies at once. It's a disaster to train. They're going to bond with each other. You're going to have a super hard time training them. The only way you'll have any kind of success training them is by putting them separate, keeping them completely separate as much as possible and only letting them play with each other later. If not, you're going to have 2 dogs that love each other and don't give a damn about you. Next question goes out to Kurai Sen. Says, hey, Robert, have been following you for a while now, and your techniques are really informative. We plan to add a dog to our family sometime later this year. Would you happen to have any tips for dog owners who live in apartments? I think that would be an interesting topic for you to cover in one of your videos. Well, let me cover it right here. If you have a dog in an apartment, it needs to be a dog that doesn't require that much exercise because they're going to be laying around your apartment the whole time, and also a very mellow, low-drive dog. That can be any breed, not any breed, but it can be, several different breeds. I don't want to get into breeds right now or anything like that. But, non-sporting dogs, look that up on the AKC website. What are some non-sporting breeds that you could have? Or toy breeds. Those are also very good for apartments. Be careful with some of the toy breeds because they can be neurotic and they can be crazy, crazy barkers. And you don't want that. You do not want a crazy barker in an apartment. You can get thrown out. Next question, see how, like S-I-H-O-W. How do I get my dogs to be calmer? We live in a neighborhood with 26 dogs in 8 surrounding houses. Sometimes it's unbearable. Please help. There's nothing you can do. I don't know. I mean, you can't get your dogs to be calm when all these other dogs are crazy. I mean, the only thing you can kind of do is, keep your dogs occupied and busy doing something, eating bones, eating Kongs, training, interacting with you. Don't let them get around those neurotic dogs. I mean, that's a lot of dogs. 26 anyway, I don't know where you live. You can't move, or maybe you can move. I think that's all you can do. Keep your dogs engaged in something. Don't let them get outside among these crazy dogs because you'll never recover it. Now, I think this is interesting. This is a very interesting crowd of people we have. The next question, and I take these at random, so there's no way I would have known this is going to happen. Zin Mo Ong says, sir, how much walking is needed for my 3-month-old German Shepherd puppy? Is it? Goofy farted. That's really bad. Whew. Goofy got a bath today, and now he's passing gas. Sir, how much walking is needed for my 3-month-old German Shepherd puppy? Is that okay if I don't walk him at all? Well, no, it's not okay that you don't walk him. First of all, a 3-month-old puppy, make sure he's got all his vaccines. Make sure he's safe on that spectrum. Talk to your veterinarian. And if the dog is safe on vaccines, you need to get the dog and socialize him. Now, I'll tell you, a German Shepherd is a dog that before it's a year old, you don't want to run it too much because you're going to hurt the growth plates of the dog. It's not a very good idea to do that. But you do need to walk the dog. You do need to socialize the dog. You do need to get the dog among people and other animals and environments and stimuli so that the dog grows up normally, especially a German Shepherd, because if the German Shepherd doesn't have good experiences as a puppy, he's going to be suspicious of things that he doesn't know and negatively reactive to things that spook him. So get this dog out. Make sure you're up to date on your vaccines. Make sure that you understand what this dog needs in as far as textures and sounds and places and people and other animals, so that the dog is a properly socialized animal. And that comes through walking, because we walk to new places, we walk to new experiences, and that walk in between is what makes the dog really bond. It makes the dog have somewhat to reflect back on, like us, and it makes the dog really enjoy the experience much, much better. And it makes them a really solid dog when they get older. So do that. Don't let it go, because you're really, really, really going to want to have a solid dog. At least I think you do. So that's going to be it. I wish you guys an amazing 2020. A very, very, very happy, healthy, prosperous, and joyous new year. And again, remember, it's not about what some crazy, stupid, self-help person is going to tell you. That's complete bullshit. Just live like your dog. Let your dog be your success coach. That's the topic. There we go. That's what I'm going to call this. Let your dog be your success coach, because you'll be really happy. And do something nice for your dog, and do something nice for somebody else too while you're at it. That's it. Happy 2020, and I'll see you soon.